I'm Diane Betelak. I am a grooming educator with the Andis company as well as a business owner. I own Heads and Tails Dog Grooming in Liverpool, New York. We have been in business almost 40 years. So we've been around a long time. I groomed competitively for probably 14 years. I now judge and speak at different trade shows throughout the country.
I am Gwendolyn, the pet stylist. Here is Appy. She is a female 7-year-old Poodle Maltese mix. And today we're going to be grooming her on how to groom smarter, not harder. So along the lines of grooming smarter and not harder, what in your perspective is crucial in a haircut for a amateur groomer or amateur pet stylist?
For somebody just starting out, and I have a groomer with me now that's only been grooming about a year. So she doesn't have a lot of speed. So what we do is we work a lot on her quality and her technique. And I really think that's something that new groomers should work on before they work on trying to get the dogs done quickly, is to spend as much time on their skills, working on getting things to be neat and tidy and clean before they work on getting it done fast.
So Diane, how did you start your grooming business?
So it's kind of a long story. My husband and I had Dobermans at one point, and he always talked about wanting a boarding kennel. And he was always like, you can have this little grooming shop off to the side. And I had pictures of playing with the puppies and putting bows on them. And so eventually we never did get the grooming kennel, or the boarding kennel, but I did go to grooming school. It was a little school in Buffalo, and quit my job, went to grooming school and just opened it. I didn't know a whole lot. I could do 2 dogs a day. I did one in the morning and one in the afternoon, and it's just progressed over the years. We're now in our third separate location. So Gwendolyn, what made you decide you wanted to groom dogs? I know your mother has a business, but what made you decide to want to get started?
Ever since I was little, I've always grown up in the shop, and I guess it kind of just was a part of my life since the time I was born because I was always in the pet shop. So as I got older, I wanted to help my mom with dogs and cleaning the shop, and then I kind of just got a bug for it, and that's how it began. And ever since then, I've always been grooming, and then recently I've started competitive grooming.
Yeah, I hear that. It's kind of funny because I have a daughter as well, and she wanted no part of it until a few years ago. So it's nice to see new young people coming up the ranks and following in their mother's footsteps and learning and taking their skills.
So what do you do in your shop that you think sets you apart from other groomers? And how would you suggest groomers to set themselves apart from other groomers in a positive way?
We do a lot of breed specific trims. We tend to leave more hair on the dogs than the other groomers in the area. And we have some excellent groomers in our area. But when I first started, it was a lot of that. There weren't as many. And a lot of them did just shave downs and cutting the dogs short, getting them clean. So we spend a lot of time just leaving hair, leaving more coat on the dogs so they look a little nicer. Again, it's what we talked about with new groomers. We do a lot making sure that the quality is there, that the dogs are done very well. A lot of it is also just the fact that we've been around forever. So I made sure when I first opened that the business name Heads and Tails was everywhere. So when people got a dog, they thought, oh, I need to get it groomed, and Heads and Tails was the first name they thought of.
So being such an experienced pet stylist or competitive groomer, what do you think is your largest achievement?
Even bigger than winning the gold medal for Groom Team and going best in show and giving us the gold. I I think my biggest proudest achievement is finishing my own standard poodles to their championship, my first two standards. It was a huge learning curve. It taught me so much to go out with my standard poodle, groom it, take it in the ring, and show it to their championships. That would be probably my proudest.
And I know that you're a judge. So did you always want to be a judge, or was that like just happened to you as your journey unfolded?
Well, it just sort of happened. I was competing. I had a full string of gorgeous dogs. I was doing some good winning, and then they asked me to judge, and I started working for Andis, so I was there anyways. It's a big responsibility.
I know a lot of groomers are really passionate about grooming. So, how do you think that those groomers should take their passion for grooming and create it into a business? Like, what do you think are the most important things to do to create a business?
Definitely take some business classes. Understand how to value your time, because a lot of us do. We just get into this because we want to have the dogs, and we really enjoy working with them. But not everybody has a sense for a business.
So, as you know, we're online right now because of Miss Corona. So, how has your business changed since COVID?
Oh, it actually hasn't changed a ton. We set up the drop off and pickups a little differently because we used to have everybody come in the morning. We have a set time or space of time for everybody to just come in whenever it was convenient for them. Wednesdays and Thursdays, we open at 7. So it would be just come between 7 and 9. But now, because we don't want a lot of people gathered and we only allow one person at a time in our front lobby, we have them scheduled every 15 minutes to come in, and then we give them a time to come back and pick them up. I think we're a little more we clean a little more than we used to. Not that much more, because we do our floors and tables and the cages, and everything gets done every day anyways. But we did invest in a steam cleaner, so now the floors get steam cleaned instead of just mopped, and it's just as busy. We're just as busy as we were since we reopened. It was kind of crazy for a while trying to get everybody in, and now we're getting all the COVID puppies. So hasn't changed a ton.
I'm really curious to know, what is your favorite length and haircut on a basic dog coming into the shop?
Well, I'm glad you asked that because it's exactly what you're going to do on your little dog today. It's pretty much a 1 comb or a 2 comb on the body. Either we'll scissor the legs, or we'll use a comb attachment, the 0, or maybe even an A, depending on the dog and how much length we want to leave. And then I usually scissor the head, but some of my girls will use the comb on the head as well. But yeah, it's a nice length. It's easy for the owners to maintain. They still look fluffy. They're not so short that the people are going to be like, oh my God, they're going to be cold. So yeah.
I'm really curious to know, what's the most common mistake that you see in pet stylist haircuts?
I think the most common mistake is a lack of balance for groomers that are leaving more hair. Things just don't match. The legs might be too big for the body or too small, or the head might be too big. The other thing is blending. You see a lot of dogs with furnishings that aren't blended in to the shorter parts. And my pet peeve is poodle tails. They're shaped up way too high. So you have this beautiful body, and then the tail is completely out of balance because the groomer doesn't know how high to shave or how low to shave, or to get the palm to balance the rest of the dog.
So do you have any advice on how to save time when doing a haircut, the prep work, or even a bath?
When I do it, and I'm pretty fast, I do it exactly the same every time. So if I'm doing a poodle, they get their bath. Everybody gets 2, unless they come every month or less. So I make sure they're really clean, because if the dog is really clean, it's going to dry faster. So my high velocity is done very methodically. I'll do the shorter hair first and then move on to the longer hair. And then the haircut is always done exactly the same. Feet, and I do all 4 feet in the exact same way I do them on every dog, every poodle. It's just very methodical. Everything is done in the exact same order. And so you almost don't have to think about it. So you just get it done. And it's just habit, becomes a habit.
So how do you think you can gain money on the business side of grooming, not the grooming side of grooming?
The business side, you can do add-ons. So you can charge extra for certain things. We tend to put it all together. I don't really charge extra for special baths unless they're getting a flea bath or something. And it's going to take extra time. The dog has to soak. But you can do like teeth brushing. You can charge extra for your dematting. We have a small retail section in the front. I find that the boutique stuff didn't move well, but we sell a lot of coats in the winter. We sell brushes and combs, some treats. I've got elk antlers, just to add, because it doesn't cost you anything to have the stuff out there for people to grab.
What do you think this up and coming grooming generation needs most?
They just need to work on their skills. Like I said earlier, the more you have your skills down, the easier it is in the long run. You can work on your speed once you know how to do things, and muscle memory kicks in, and you can just do it without thinking. How about, now that we've gone through all the questions, let's get the dog out. And my understanding is you did half of it already.
Yes. So what would you like to go over?
I think she looks lovely from here. And did you do it today or yesterday?
We did it today.
Okay. She looks lovely. I would do a lot of thinning over the top of my comb, lift the hair with the comb and then thin over the top of it when I do that kind of coat, just to smooth it all out. Because you know how when you do the comb attachments, it leaves lines. If you use the comb in one hand and sort of lift, holding the comb sort of at an angle. So what I do, pretend my arm is the dog, is I take my comb and hold it at an angle and use that to lift the hair. And then while I'm doing that, I'm lifting the hair, I'm just using my thinner shears over the top.
Over the comb like that?
Yep. And you're just going to slide that comb up. And while you're sliding it, you're just taking the long hairs off. That's going to take out all of your, any little lines that might be showing up from the comb attachment. Takes a little practice, but it does a really nice job of blending. There you go. You got it. It's sort of, the comb lifts it, so then you're just taking the edges. So, and the more you practice that technique, the better you'll get at it. So
it does look a lot better, actually.
Yeah. It works really well on like your flat coats, like your Shih Tzus and stuff. When you clip them down with a two comb or even a 4-blade, you can go over it with a fine comb and use your thinning shears. So when you're starting out the tools, a lot of new groomers don't think about it, is you need multiple of each blade. I remember when I started, I got one of each and didn't realize they go dull. So fortunately we had a pet groomer's supply. It was a dog show person. And so I could go buy new stuff while it was out being sharpened. But same with scissors. You want to have at least 2 pair. We didn't have curved shears. So, but, so you want to have a decent pair of clippers. If you're going to get the 2 speeds, use it on the low speed until you're more proficient, because the blades are going to heat up really fast on the higher speeds. You might get the hair off faster, but you're going to spend more time cooling down your blades and switching them out. At least 2 sets of blades, set of comb attachments for the longer haircuts, scissors, thinning shears, toenail clippers, which come 2 different types. You've got the guillotine and you've got the pliers type. Combs. You want a couple different types of combs. You want a wider tooth comb for lifting. I like to use a really fine comb when I'm doing the thinning over the comb technique. Table, obviously, you need a grooming table. It's nice to have a nice mat on it. Cleaner. Andis makes a really nice 5-in-1 cleaner for your blades. It disinfects, it cleans. That looks really nice, Gwendolyn.
Good.
Why don't we turn the dog around and work on the other side? You can show me how you got the hair off to start with. Love the clipper.
Andis.
Okay, good. I really like that she's following the contours of the dog. When you come down like that off the ribs and stuff, it leaves less lines and it's easier to do your finishing work. When she's doing the front there, I like to come down off where the upper leg is. So you're coming down off the neck right there. So Gwendolyn, you know where the point of shoulder is there on the front? Yeah. So you follow that with your hand, follow that bone down to the elbow in the front. So that area, I sort of come around to the front with my comb attachment, and that sets your leg back. So you don't have to scissor that front leg in. Bring it the other way though, bring it around to the front. Yep, just like that. But don't go down into the leg, just the upper leg, the upper bone there. Perfect. That sets your leg back so you don't have to set it in with your scissors after the fact. Perfect. Now lift that front leg and come from go the other way though. Come back from the back forward. Yep, that's going to take that hair underneath shorter, and then you won't have as much blending underneath. Yep, just like that. And you can even come from the sides a little bit to sort of round it out more so you don't have an edge you have to take off. Yep, but come forward. Go towards the front, from the back to the front. Yep, just like that. Perfect. The other thing I would do instead of combing down is I would comb up to get that hair to stand up. Yep, just sort of get it to lift. before you, and that'll give you a smoother finish. Nice. So we usually, this haircut could probably go 6 weeks. I try not to have anything with any kind of fluff. Probably every 6 weeks, I would say, is good for these guys to come back. But most of the dogs that we do that are in this type of haircut come every 4 to 6 weeks. So Gwendolyn, when you're doing these kind of cuts, what issues are you having? Are you having any problems getting through them?
For almost every single pet groom, this is in every single pet groom, my hardest thing to get to perfection or really good is round feet.
Oh.
I have a really hard time with rounding feet. I've been getting better lately. I try to practice as much as I can, but they always turn out to be triangles. And I'm trying really hard to fix that, but
yeah, they look really nice. Start with the 2 longest toes in the front. Yep, right there. That's where you start. So that's how you know that's the end of the circle. And then round it from there. Make sure the toenails are trimmed before you trim your foot. So whether you do them before the bath or after the bath, but before you scissor that foot, you want those toenails as short as possible. But if you start at the toe and work yourself around from there, you'll lose that point. And I like my curved scissors for that.
I have a hard time with curved scissors because what happens is if I use curved scissors, I'm looking at a certain part of the scissor, and then because they're curved, it cuts into someone else on the foot. So
yeah,
I'm trying to master the round feet with my straight shears first, and then go into curves.
Fair enough. Oh, that looks really nice. We didn't have curved shears when I first started, so, and now I use them almost exclusively. Even to put in straight lines, I'll flip them around backwards. So see the difference between that front leg that you just did using the comb to come down a little more and the one you did earlier?
Yeah.
It looks straighter. And so his elbow isn't sticking out as much. See the difference?
Mm-hmm.
So coming down into the upper leg with the comb attachment helped a lot there. So when this type of dog comes in, so say it's a new client, it's somebody we haven't seen before, we would have the owner comes in, we introduce ourselves, whoever's going to be grooming the dog is going to come out and like put their hands on the dog, find out exactly what the owner wants, how they want them trimmed, is it possible to do what they want, can give them a fairly good estimate of how much it's going to cost them because we pretty much know how long it's going to take. Like I said, this one's probably 45 minutes start to finish. We usually try to keep customers around 4 hours because we don't always do everything start to finish. I do charge extra for that, by the way. We call it an express groom. So then the dog would come into the back. They generally, especially now with the whole COVID thing, they go right into the bathtub. If we have time, they go right into the bathtub. We do have some holding crates that we use specifically for the COVID, you know, the dogs that are just coming in. But it would go in the bathtub. This particular dog would be washed with a high detergent shampoo if we hadn't seen it before. I just want to get rid of the excess grime, any excess oils that are on the coat. Then we would do it with a whitening shampoo because that would pull out some staining. It just sort of brightens the coat back up. And I find that the specialty shampoos work better if you're using them on a dog that's basically already clean. So then it would get washed with the whitening shampoo. Depending on the time of year, I would put a little bit of conditioner in the tail and the ears just to keep the static down. We're in the Northeast. It gets really cold in the winter. The air is really dry and static becomes an issue. So we would do that. Then it gets rinsed, toweled. We would go over it with the high velocity. And then it would come into the grooming room and it would be finished with the hot stand dryer, either line brushed or stretch dried, whatever you want to call it. We go through the entire dog with the hot dryer to pull out any curl, to get the coat ready to be trimmed. So, and continue working with your curved shears. I know you said you tend to cut weird things off where you don't want to, but you need to practice with them. You'll find cleaning up the loin area and your rib cage with your curves will be a lot easier. Coming in and getting this back of this back leg in, putting in the angles is a lot easier with your curves. And then you can go over it with your thinning shears to smooth it out more. Okay. Take any rough edges. So some of the latest trends on faces and heads is the biggest one right now is Asian fusion, and the pet owners are seeing it, so they're kind of liking it. I sort of do a modified version on our little pet dogs. I really like that you're going in there, Gwendolyn, with the thinning shears to clean up around the eyes rather than clippers. It just leaves a softer expression. Anyway, back to the Asian fusion thing. I sort of try to layer in the muzzle a little more than I used to now. Just makes it a little fluffier looking. I like the way it balances out the face a little more. So this particular head that she's doing, we would call it a teddy bear head, sort of a poodle type top knot, and with a full face. I have quite a few people that like this haircut. They don't want the face shaved like a poodle, so we leave and not just a mustache and beard. We leave the cheeks tight, a little tighter, but all scissored in. I like that Gwendolyn's going in and pulling the ear out of the way so she can get that area nice. And since she's using her thinners, she's going to have a nice soft finish rather than a crisp finish that you would get if you were using straight shears or curved shears. The head's nicely proportioned to the body. It's not too big, it's not too small. That area that she's working on, I tend to put it between my fingers and hold that hair with my hand over the dog's mouth. That way, if it sticks its tongue out, I'm gonna feel it before I close the scissors. So I'm less likely to nick a tongue. So Gwendolyn, if you hold your hand, the hand that's holding the dog's muzzle over the face and put your two fingers down where the hair comes along the lip line and pull that long hair through. And you can use your fingers to give you an angle. And then just cut along your, yes. And then you can cut along your fingers. That will save the possibility of the dog's tongue getting nicked. Because it never fails that she doesn't like it. Takes a little practice, but that way if her tongue comes out, you're not going to catch it. If you take that muzzle hair and comb it up, so it stands up and out away from the dog's face, that looks really nice. So all of it comes out, all the way to the cheek. Now just take those top edges off, and that's going to round your muzzle out a little more. So there won't be all that long. It won't be like, there'll be no edge. Yes. Now comb it back. When you're done with that, you can comb it back down. See if you see the difference. See the difference now that it should have layered in better.
Yeah, that looks great.
So here's a trick for getting your ears, and it doesn't always work, but it works some of the times. So you take the ear and you fold it in half lengthwise. Okay, and slide your fingers all the way to the end and pull it so it's straight up off the dog's head. Yep. Now just take your edges with your scissors and use your straight shears. You want to go straight across. I usually do it between two fingers. That way you get a straighter. You know how when they're cutting hairdressers? Yes. Let's see if it works. Sometimes
Do I
it
just
works.
cut that right off?
Yep. You got it. Okay, now let it all go fall. And you should have a fairly straight ear. Not too bad. Just gotta trim that front off a little bit. Nice. She looks nice. We would stick a bow on her head and send her home.
How does the dog look? Did I do a good job?
I think you did. I think you did an awesome job.
Okay.
She looks great. My only other advice would be use your thinning shears a little less and your straight and curved shears more. So thank you to 123 Pet and the Andis Company and Gwendolyn for this opportunity to help educate. I think it was great. I really enjoyed it, and I can't thank you enough.
I want to thank Diane for teaching me so much today. I learned a bunch of tips on the face and on the overall body on how to blend. I had so much fun, and see you guys next time. Bye.